My insane mother-in-law tried to force me to be a baby-making machine by intoxicating me so that I'd only have energy to make love. I've always known my husband was an angel, but he always had something sinister about him. His mother, she's a huge advocate for men's rights, as she only has sons and believes that a traditional lifestyle is the proper way to live. So when she met me and asked me what type of meals I'd cook for her son, she flipped out. I told her I planned on dividing the meals 50-50, and she said, and I quote, "So you're one of those hussies who dragged their husbands on a leash and accused me of abusing her baby." I've tried to be respectful of her beliefs by acting like a housewife whenever she visits, but she abused every single one of my attempts to bond with her. The worst of her antics started the day after my honeymoon when I walked into my home and saw my mother-in-law sitting in one of the bedrooms. When I asked her what she was doing here, she said that she was here to help me be a stay-at-home wife. My husband and I both tried to tell her that we just wanted to be alone, but she said she couldn't abandon her baby boy. To be honest, I just wanted to spend time with my husband and lie down, so I just let her stay. That was the biggest mistake of my life. For the next 3 weeks, she disrupted every aspect of our newlywed life. Anytime we were alone, she'd slide rubbers under the door and clear her throat loudly. She would constantly call my job and tell them I needed to stay home because I needed baby making time so that she can have a new grandson. She even insisted on cooking every single meal because only she knew how to make it the way her baby boy wanted it. Like an idiot, I let her. At first, the food was really good and I'd even started having more free time. But after a week of her cooking, I started to notice something weird. I would get extremely sick after meals, puking for hours at a time and getting chills all night. It happened for 3 days straight, and I was so sick I nearly passed out from dehydration. When I woke up, my mother-in-law nursed me with some soup and asked if I planned on staying home. When I said I would, she giggled and said this was the perfect time to give her a grandson. I couldn't look at her after that. Even if I felt better enough to go to work, I'd be stuck in a mental haze for days after. One day I cooked my own meal and I noticed I didn't puke at all. I tested this by cooking myself a meal the next day and I quickly realized that I didn't feel sick at all. So I decided that I was in charge of my own meals from now on. This came with its own issues because now I had both terrible stomach digestion and mental delays from my sickness and only ate once a day because of time. I started gaining weight so quickly that I couldn't even catch up with my workouts and soon enough I gained 15 pounds. My mother-in-law begged me to lose some weight because she needed her grandkids to come out right and my husband was completely concerned over my drastic change. When I couldn't even fit in the dress my husband met me in, I knew something had to change. I tried to bring to-go meals with me to work so that I could eat more, but the effect had already made its impact. I couldn't lose 5 pounds when I ate consistently. I couldn't even eat without feeling a little bit of the aftermath from my sickness. Things didn't change until a week later when I got lunch with my friend. She asked me why I wasn't getting any actual food, so I told her about how often I'd get sick from the food at home, so I was too nervous to eat anything other than my own food since it might make me feel worse. That's when she brought up her digestive issues and said that the only thing that really helped her was a 7-day colon breeze. She mentioned that she had started to see results within the first couple of days after taking the capsules. At that point, I was desperate for any solution since I was constantly sick and I seemed to be gaining even more weight. I ordered it and in a week my only hope of getting my mother-in-law off my newly sagging back had come. I ripped open the package and found the bottle alongside a guide telling me all the different ways I could control my bowel health. I swallowed down the pill quickly realizing this might be my only chance to get rid of the health spiral my stomach feeling caused. Within the next few hours, I felt a huge load lift off my stomach whenever I went to the bathroom. For the last couple of weeks, it had issues letting my stomach contents out in any other way than up, but now that I could do it, it was one of the most relieving feelings I'd felt in a while. I decided to pull up the 7-day breeze guide and read it during one of the bathroom sessions and I realized I'd been doing everything wrong this whole time. The guide showed me how to rebuild my gut health after I completely messed it up with my constant sickness and even showed me some manageable diets I could try out even while balancing my job. When the next day came around, I noticed I wasn't feeling like my stomach was going to explode out of my jeans at any minute. I didn't even feel sick when I swallowed a single apple slice, which was a first for weeks. I practically reserved my bathroom after my meal, but I left feeling lighter. I realized that the healthier my bowels felt, the less I craved fast food. 2 days later, my mother-in-law demanded that I sit on the scale again because I looked different, and when I did, I noticed I lost a few pounds, which changed my long-term gaining streak. I had been so blocked up and fatigued for so long, but finally having healthy working bowels again allowed me to eat better and finally gave me the energy to exercise regularly. I felt so happy that I actually was able to have a long conversation with my husband without mentioning my disgusting body. I even woke up the next day without the feeling of vomit on my lips and a renewed sense of happiness in my life. I even had enough time to cook one of the foods listed on the guide from 7-day colon breeze for my husband and my mother-in-law had an odd expression on her face when I placed a plate in front of her. I asked her if she was proud I was finally able to cook something for him. She smiled a little to herself and asked me if I'd finally come to my senses about being the perfect housewife. When I told her I still planned to work, she flipped out on me, screaming that she did all that hard work for nothing. She even accused me of hating children because I kept throwing up everything she made me to keep me strong. My husband looked at me weirdly, but I told her that the only reason I was throwing up was because I couldn't keep my food down or even leave the house. As soon as I said that, she blurted out that was the point. My husband directed a stare at her and asked what she meant by that. She stared at the ground as if she never said anything, but when my husband threatened to restrict any access to him and her precious grandsons, she spilled. She said she's been purposely leaving raw, spoiled meat in my food so that I'd get sick and wanted to take over house duties because I couldn't work myself. Ordinarily I would have drop-kicked her, but I felt a new sense of clarity since I've been taking the 7-day colon breeze every day and let my husband handle her. Instead, he kicked her out so fast she didn't even have time to blink. I watched her pack her bags while packing my meals for the day, feeling a little lighter now that my living parasite left my system.